empowering women as well. People will often tell you that you help women find their voices. In 2020, Meghan Markle signed a $100 million deal with Netflix. That deal was over by 2025. So few people watched her cooking show that reruns of her old show did better. Her brand of living goods had to get a new name. And different sites say Harry has been trying to get her to go back to England, but she won't. There are reports of stress, separation, and choices that could make everything different. What went wrong after they were no longer royal? Why do people want to know if this fairy tale is finally over now? The real story is just getting started. Meghan Markle was born in West Park Hospital in Canoga Park, Los Angeles, on August 4, 1981. And her story started with a quiet push against what was possible. Thomas Markle, her white lighting director father, and Doria Ragland, her black yoga teacher and social worker mother, got married in 1979, a time when people still looked at and talked about mixed-race marriage. On the hospital papers for Meghan's birth, there was only one box for race, and the staff asked Thomas to choose black for her. He said no. He wanted her to be recorded as mixed race because he wanted to honor both parts of her identity, even though it made the room tense. Later, Meghan said in interviews that she was half black and half white. This fact was very important to her as a child. It followed her to school, the playground, and eventually almost everywhere she went. It shaped her sense of who she was long before she knew how other people saw her. The way her parents interacted with each other taught her what it meant to live in two different worlds. It was on the set of General Hospital in the late 1970s that they met. They got married on December 23, 1979, at the Self-Realization Fellowship Temple in Hollywood. People looked at them funny and judged them quietly while they were married. Their wedding was small but brave. It was especially funny when Doria picked up Meghan from school and people thought she was the nanny. They were together for 8 years before they got divorced in 1987, even though things were falling apart around them. Meghan was only 6 years old. During the week, she lived with her mother in a simple, quiet house. On the weekends, she went to her dad's Hollywood home, which was full of lights and cameras. She later said that her parents got along well as parents. They were still in love after the split, even though it made her feel bad. She learned how to adapt by moving between these two houses. Moving from one neighborhood, group, or expectation to another formed her emotional intelligence in ways she didn't fully understand at the time. Because of her dad's job, she got into Hollywood early. After school for 10 years, she would go to the set of Married with Children and walk through a world full of vulgar and adult jokes. While she was still wearing her Catholic school outfit. Even though she was too young to watch the show at home, she loved waiting for the end credits so she could kiss the screen when her dad's name came up. Those afternoons gave me a look into both the good and bad parts of the show business. She quickly learned that sets were a mess, players were weak, and there were bad sides to fame. All of that made her feel better, which in turn made her love acting grow. While also making her more aware of how things could change in public. Samantha and Thomas Jr., her other half-siblings from her father, were also in that early family picture, but she didn't know them very well because they were older. When her life became news around the world, that distance changed into a storm. Samantha sued her for slander in 2019 after Thomas Jr. said bad things about her in interviews. When she became a princess, the quiet tension between her and her brother got louder. This shows how fame can bring up old family problems. Going to school added more to her story. Meghan grew up in View Park, Windsor Hills, which is also known as Black Beverly Hills. She went to private Catholic schools, such as Immaculate Heart High School. A lot of the time, she was the only classmate of mixed race. She had to pick either black or white on the forms, but she wasn't sure which box felt right. The groups of people around her were also split up, with each group sticking to its own spot. She never really fit in with any of them. She went to clubs because she didn't want to be alone for dinner, not because she loved them. She later said that being a teenager was the hardest time for her because she was trying to fit into forms that weren't right for her. Her mind kept going back to those times. And finally helped her fight for inclusion. That knowledge began a long time before she was a teenager. She saw a Procter & Gamble ad when she was 11 years old that said women all over the United States were fed up with dirty pots and pans. She felt so badly about it that she asked the company, a lawyer, and Hillary Clinton to change it in letters. Procter & Gamble paid attention. The ad to say people, she changed it. Afterward, she told Nick News that writing letters is the best way to change things for everyone if something feels wrong. That was her first experience with being an activist. After many years, she and Prince Harry worked with Procter & Gamble again on projects to promote female equality. It showed how things that happen in childhood can last for years. During her teens, she had the same problems. And the same need to feel like they belong. People talked about her skin tone and hair structure, and being turned down for roles in Hollywood kept reminding her that she didn't fit into pre-made casting boxes. Later, a genealogy test showed that she was 43% Nigerian. This added another layer to a background that had always felt like it was spread out. During those years, she had doubts about herself, but she also got stronger. Bit by bit. The job of her father drew her deeper into the world she wanted to be a part of. Lights designer Thomas Markle won 2 daytime Emmys for his work, and Meghan often watched him deal with the stress of TV production. She saw both the fun and the stress at the same time. She knew that to be successful, she had to make sacrifices, and she took that knowledge with her as she started to act. She had her mother, Doria, by her side through it all. Doria taught her yoga when she was 7 years old, and brought meditation, balance, and peace into her life. Meghan was able to handle the stress of school, auditions, and later the weight of fame thanks to her strong roots. She did yoga several times a week even when she was in college to keep her mind calm when the world around her was busy and loud. She began a new life at Northwestern University in Evanston when she was 18 years old, in 1999. She joined a sorority, studied theater and foreign studies with a minor in African American studies, and did a lot of work for people in need. She finished with a degree in communication on June 20, 2003. She was full of confidence from having made it through hard times and done well in tough situations. When she was a freshman, she had her first breakup with basketball star Steve Lepore. They were together for 5 months before he moved to North Carolina to attend Davidson College. They broke up because of distance, and she felt very sad about it. Friends said she was heartbroken, but she kept going by concentrating on her schoolwork. It taught her how to let go of things that are important when they get lost. Once she was done with school, she went back to Los Angeles and started the tough world of Hollywood auditions. The people who cast her said she was too light for black parts and too dark for white roles. To stay alive, she took small pieces, like bits and pieces from General Hospital, CSI 90210, and Fring. To pay for gas and rent, she taught, modeled, and did other odd jobs. In order to get parts, she even lied about being a union member, which backfired and made her feel bad. She was turned down almost every time she went to an audition, but she kept going because her dream was bigger than the losses. She was a bag model on Deal or No Deal from 2006 to 2007. She later said that job made her feel like an object and left her feeling empty. She knew that she wanted to have value in her work instead of just being a face on a game show. Eventually, her anger drove her to look for deeper parts and more purposeful paths. Things began to change in Meghan Markle's life that she hadn't planned for. She knew she was good enough when she walked into a tryout room in 2011 and heard April Webster, the casting director, tell her that. Those words stuck with her as she read for the part of Rachel Zane on Suits. They were there, quietly. Soon after, she played a character who went from being an assistant to a lawyer. While that story was being told on TV, she was going through the same thing behind the scenes. She became more well-known week after week. From 2011 to 2018, she was on the show for 7 seasons. In the later years, she was making about $50,000 an episode, or about $450,000 a year, having been in more than 100 programs. It was the first time she felt like the ground was stable, and the part put her in a place that wasn't at all like Hollywood. She had made a lot of money by the time she left in 2018. She got a base from the show that she didn't expect when she first walked into the audition room. As her business grew, it became clear that she was getting rich. People thought her net worth was between $2 and $5 million before she met Prince Harry. Most of that money came from clothes. When the show got later, it paid her $50,000 an episode, and her movie parts made her even more. The candidate paid her about $127,000, and Remember Me paid her about $360,000. She carved out her own path outside of acting with her lifestyle blog, the TIG, and by designing limited edition lines for the Canadian brand Reitmans that were gone almost as soon as they came out. Each piece gave her more freedom and helped her create a future she could control. Her net worth was close to $5 million by 2018, the year she married Harry. A place that meant something to someone who used to have small parts on TV shows like General Hospital and Deal or No Deal. She was busy with Suits, but Toronto slowly became her home city. Every year for 9 months, she lived there while making movies. During that time, she fell into the flow of the city. She walked around Trinity Bellwoods Park and Kensington Market, and she became close with people like Jessica, Jack Mulroney and Ben. People noticed how simple and careful she dressed. The clothes she wore quickly sold out in all of Canada's shops. After getting ideas from her character Suits and her own likes, she even made 2 small collections for Reitman. It felt like her life in Toronto was different from her life in Hollywood. A quiet place where she could be herself and make friends she could count on before everything changed in her life. She kept having success with clothes even after she left the show. Being a queen kept her money coming in, and it was a big part of why she and Prince Harry were able to buy their $14.7 million home in Montecito in 2020. Reports said the extra payments helped with the $14.1 million mortgage and the down payment. There were 16 baths and 9 bedrooms in the house. The sale was the start of a new chapter that her acting job had made possible. The royalties and other work she did helped her make ends meet as she changed careers and became a princess. This showed that clothes were more than just a job for her. It was the base she kept adding to. She was building a different personality even as her acting career grew. Her first blog, The Tig, was named after her favorite Italian wine, Tignanello, and it came out in May 2014. She once said that the wine really helped her understand all the terms that wine experts used, like body, legs, and structure. The name of her blog came from that little spark. Soon, she used TIG to talk about her thoughts on fashion, food, health, travel, and more. She wrote posts in between scenes, usually from her trailer, because she loved sharing the things she loved. The blog slowly started to compete with big leisure sites like Google, and she started to dream of making it into something bigger. The TIG quickly grew. It wasn't just pictures of clothes or food. Meghan wrote feminist essays, trip stories, and interviews with Serena Williams, Yara Shahidi, and Priyanka Chopra. She shared her own recipes, talked about issues that were important to her, and worked with brands to make sponsored content. People saw her not only as an actress, but also as a figure they could relate to who mixed personal stories with political activism. Her blog turned into a real business that made real money. Many people went back to the TIG over and over again, which showed how good her instincts were even before she became a princess. In April 2017, everything changed again. The word she left behind when she closed the TIG was kind and thankful. She told people to keep looking for what she called TIG moments, which are small moments of discovery. Her friends were upset about her decision, but she said she had to focus on making changes in her life. Later, her biographers said that the closing helped keep her relationship with Harry safe and stopped rumors. The quick end of the blog put an end to one story and began a new one. As she got ready to become a member of the British royal family, she began dating Prince Harry in a quiet way in July 2016, when she was 35 years old. A friend they both have, who is thought to be Violet von Wessenholz, set them up on a blind date at Soho House in London. Since there were strict rules against cameras, they could sit and talk for hours while drinking chilled rose. Meghan had joked earlier that she hoped to meet a nice Englishman while she was away, and she did. That night, she did. It was clear from the start that they had a lot in common, and Harry soon asked her to come with him to Botswana. He said later that it was on that trip that he knew she was his true love. There are no pictures of that first date, but royal biographers agree that it was the start of a fast-paced relationship that led to their May 2018 wedding. Before Harry came along, Meghan was seeing Canadian cook Corey Vitiello on a serious level. From the outside, their relationship looked stable while they stayed together from 2014 to 2016. But later, royal author Tom Bowers said that Meghan was still living with Corey when she met Harry, and that they broke up right away. These reports say that Meghan broke up with Harry soon after he got back to London. Some reports also said that she charged Corey rent for using a studio that her production company offered. There were no fights, but the timing of the breakup made tabloids and reports that they were already keeping a close eye on her. Meghan had been married before she became a princess. She got married to film director Trevor Engelson in Jamaica on September 10, 2011, after a 4-day party. He was 35 years old and she was 30. Before they got married, they dated for 6 years. But in August 2013, after 2 years together, they quietly broke up. Friends said it seemed like the end came out of nowhere. It is said that Meghan sent back her engagement and wedding rings by regular mail. Engelson later got married again in 2019, while Meghan was getting ready for her wedding. As her friendship with Harry grew, she had to keep things secret. It seemed impossible that they could go back and forth between London and Toronto without anyone noticing. Nothing was shown. Until British media made their relationship public in October 2016. The news was mostly about Meghan's mixed-race past and the idea of a royal dating an American actress. The press became more hostile, and many of the comments made in the news became racist. In November 2016, Harry made a rare public statement in which he spoke out against the harassment and the racist themes of the news stories. There was so much shine at the wedding on May 19, 2018, that it almost made people blind. The numbers only made the moment feel bigger. It cost about $45 million to hold the wedding at Windsor Castle. That money, more than $43 million, went right to security because everyone was watching and the couple had to be safe at all times. Almost 29 million people watched it on TV. It became one of the most watched weddings ever. The royal family paid for most of the event, but the big security bill was paid for by taxpayers, which became a source of anger across the UK. At the same time, the day's events kept adding up. Just Meghan's wedding dress cost $430,000. A stage worth $500,000 was ready for the guests. Music got an extra $430,000, and flowers got about $157,600. It is said that Meghan paid for her own vacation, which cost her about £172,000. There were 27 cakes. The sky was brightened by fireworks. All of these things made the event so pricey that people started to wonder how much the royal lifestyle should cost taxpayers. While everyone got ready to watch the event, there was already a storm going around. On May 14, 2018, just a few days before the wedding, it was revealed that Thomas Markle, Meghan's father, had paid people to take pictures of them with the cameras. He made a deal with a photography company called Coleman Rayner. They showed him working out, reading a book about Britain, and adjusting his clothes. They were in the Daily Mail on May 12. When the truth came out, people were angry right away. After just a few days, Thomas quit the wedding. Talked about having a heart attack and surgery, but many people in the know said the real reason was shame over the story. He even sued the media company later, saying he wasn't paid enough and that the pictures hurt his friendship with Meghan and the royal family. He realized he was wrong on Good Morning Britain. This was one of the first times that a bond broke. That was already weak. Around the same time, something else started to happen behind the house doors. Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton got into a heated argument at Princess Charlotte's bridesmaid dress fitting. At the last minute, Meghan wanted to make some changes to Charlotte's belt and hem. It was hard for the in-house seamstress to keep up with everything because the plan was so tight. Kate thought the request was too much since she had just given birth to Prince Louis 3 months before, and told them the clothes needed to be fixed. The room was full of pressure. Harry wrote in his autobiography that after the fight, he found Meghan crying on the floor. They said they were sorry the next day with flowers and a card, but it showed how different their ways were. Inside the palace, people said it was like a two-household dynamic, with Meghan being straight and Kate being focused on following rules. As the months went by, the theme of the two homes got stronger. Harry and Meghan wrote on Instagram on January 8, 2020, that they were stepping down as senior members of the royal family. Even though everyone saw it at the same time, writer Dan Wooten had known about it for 10 days. The Queen in Buckingham Palace did not agree with the message. Within hours, shock spread around the world. On January 9, Meghan took a plane to Vancouver, leaving Harry behind to work out family issues. William, Charles, and Harry got together at Sandringham on January 13 to talk about important things. Later, the Queen said in a statement that the family was on board with the plan, but they needed more time to make it official. The government was shocked because something like that had never happened before. When March 2020 came around, the world changed quickly because COVID spread to every country. Right then and there, Harry and Meghan moved from Vancouver Island to Los Angeles in secret. They were going to stay in Canada at first, but on March 20, the border closed. Reports say they went on a private plane, which caused some people to criticize them because they had talked so much about climate change. It was a secret when they got to California. There were no reports and no official word. By March 31, they were no longer doing any royal tasks. They started to live a quieter life in Meghan's home state, where they felt like they could better protect their privacy. During a worldwide shutdown. When their talk with Oprah aired on March 7, 2021, after months of silence, it turned into a louder wave. About 50 million people watched Meghan talk about how an unknown royal was worried about how dark Archie's skin might be. She carefully said the comment again and said that they had talked about how dark the baby could be and what that would look like. She wouldn't say who it was. Harry said that he was shocked as well. And made them feel bad when it happened. It was seen all over the world and led to a worldwide discussion about racism in the royal family. Buckingham Palace said the claims were scary and needed to be talked about behind closed doors. But the way people felt about it had already changed. Kept telling hard truths in the same conversation. She talked about how she had thought about killing herself while she was in the UK. A senior royal told her it would not look good for the organization when she asked for help. She went to the palace's human resources office but was told they couldn't help her because she wasn't working there. That she didn't feel safe or cared for and was afraid for her mental health. That statement shocked everyone because it showed how lonely life as a royal can get when pain is hidden from the public. Just before that interview ran, The Times said Meghan had been mean to royal staff. It was said that 2 employees had complained, saying they felt threatened. In response, Meghan's team said the claims were part of a smear campaign meant to hurt her image before the interview. Later, her lawyer said the claims were not true, though he did say that different employees may have felt pressure in different ways. The charges came at the wrong time, which caused chaos. The public saw both stories happen at the same time, adding to the drama of the couple's breakup. In September 2020, Harry and Meghan signed a $100 million deal with Netflix, which was a big step toward a new life together. The deal included programs, TV shows, movies, and even shows for kids. Their documentary series Harry and Meghan, which came out in 2022, got 7.3 million views in its first week, making it Netflix's biggest documentary debut. But the first deal didn't get renewed after July 2025. Netflix instead gave away a first-look deal that wasn't worth nearly as much. It meant that Netflix could buy future projects, but they wouldn't be the only ones with rights to them. People in the industry said the change showed that we were living in a new era where streaming platforms like shorter agreements. The couple went from having a huge deal that would make history to having a much smaller one. This was a big change in their Hollywood journey. After that, With Love, Meghan came out in 2025. People had high hopes for the show, but it had trouble from the start. With only 5.3 million views, it got 308th place in Netflix's first half 2025 interaction report. Suits that were reruns did better. It was called self-centered by critics. Rotten Tomatoes had reviews that stayed around 36%, and IMDb had a score of 3.2. Netflix picked it up for a second season anyway, even with those numbers. Someone who knew about the extension said it was more about ease of use than success. Again, Meghan's dad told her she was wrong for not using the Markle name in her branding. Another thing that people talked about was the difference between the couple's popular documentary and her poorly received show. Meghan changed lanes when she started American Riviera Orchard in March 2024. It is a leisure brand that focuses on jams and home goods. It had a California theme and tried to be both classy and friendly. But within a year, the name changed. In February 2025, it came back as before. Early drops sold out quickly, but the brand had a rough start because of problems in the supply chain, with vendors and rising costs. Reports say that millions of dollars were spent on PR, but the product didn't live up to the hype. There were some technical problems with trademark applications, but they weren't completely turned down. As always, kept looking for its place, but everywhere there were questions about its long-term future. Samantha, Meghan's half-sister, sued for $75,000 for libel around the same time in 2023, saying that Meghan's comments in documentaries and interviews made her look bad and hurt her image. Samantha couldn't make the same claim again after the case was thrown out with prejudice in March 2024. Samantha's lawyers were planning to file an appeal, while Meghan's lawyers said they were happy. She was still trying to get the court to change its mind in 2025, and the fight kept getting attention from the public. As 2026 began, Meghan started her push for resets and rituals again. On January 1st, she shared warm, personal pictures on Instagram of herself and her family in the mornings with journals, coffee, and special moments. She said that the year was easy for her. Items that were only available during the campaign ran out very quickly. The whole mood changed to one of calm living, slow habits, and finding your own footing. In the same way as her old lifestyle blog from years ago. As this new phase began, Harry's desire to visit the UK more often caused another problem to grow. At age 41, he felt a stronger pull toward his roots, especially since King Charles's health was getting worse. He wanted his kids to learn about his family history and get to know their grandpa. Meghan, who is 44 now, refused. For her, going back to the UK was like going back to a place where she had felt watched and unwanted. Friends who are close to the couple said that the fight was heavy and very intense. They were also moving away from each other in their careers, which made the tension even harder to ignore. Some news sources said that if they couldn't find a middle ground, it might even lead to divorce. At the same time, Rivek started to re-evaluate Harry's level of protection in early January 2026. Early results showed that he still had a big risk to take. If approved, his police security in the UK would go back to about the same level it was before Brexit. The idea of safer visits put more pressure on Meghan because it took away one of the main reasons she avoided England. It felt more important for them to have a family discussion as the security upgrade became more possible.